Hey everybody, it's Cindy Matalucci, your host of The Pulse and Vibe with Cindy. Today is Friday. It's the month of March. We have a fabulous show lined up for you. Thank you so much for tuning in to this 30 minutes with us because we love spending this 30 minutes with you. Okay, so we asked you guys what you wanted to see on the show, what hot topics you wanted us to dive into, what types of guests you wanted to have on the show, because your opinion matters to us, guys. So remember, if there is something you would like us to see, discuss, or have someone on the show or a guest that you want to see, hit us up on social media at the Pulse SD or thepulsesd.com, and we will make it happen because we love you guys. Okay, so March is a big month. First of all, St. Patrick's Day is coming up, which we're very excited about. Do you have plans for St. Patrick's Day?
Well, I think you're going to give me some options coming up, right? I have no set plans yet.
Well, it's Friday, you guys. It falls on a Friday. It's next Friday, so watch out. It's going to be crazy. And according to Locale magazine, there's 7 places that you have to go to eat and drink like the Irish. So let's get started. So one is the Holding Company. It boasts one of Ocean Beach's best views year-round, complete with 3 stories of good vibes and sunshine. It's also a music venue, and actually we've had them on the show, so it's fabulous.
Where is that?
It's right in Ocean Beach. It's on the main street. It's fabulous, you guys. So great place to go, great food.
Cool.
So a second one, Whiskey Lovers Rejoice. North Park's premier whiskey bar, $7 grand, will be fully stocked for a night of St. Patrick's Day sippin'. So this tucked away whiskey-only bar stocks specialties from all over the globe, from Irish to Japanese and everything in between. And it's in North Park. So this is a great spot. We've been there many times. Love this place. Okay, this one, you guys, is like an icon in San Diego. The Field, Irish pub.
Of course.
Downtown.
Yep.
I mean, literally has been around forever. So the must order here is the peanut butter cup cocktail and the lamb shepherd's pie. Okay, so what do you think about shepherd's pie? Do you like shepherd's pie?
I don't know. I don't know that I've had it.
Okay, so I'm like not a big shepherd's pie person. I went to college in Maryland and everybody loved the shepherd's pie. It was like the thing to have. I don't know. I'm not.
I think it's always scared me, so I've never ordered it, and I'm sure it's fantastic.
Well, just so you guys know, it's a classic over there at the Field. And they have the lamb shepherd's pie, which features ground lamb, vegetables, gravy, champ, mashed potatoes, and Irish cheddar. So check it out if it's your thing.
Sounds good.
Amazing. Okay, so listen to this, you guys. Half-door pubs were common in Ireland as a way to keep farm animals out and allow fresh air through. So keeping with the tradition, downtown's Half-Door Brewing Company serves all the classics. The red ale braised pork belly, lacinato kale, black kale mushrooms, and pork belly jus, and a bunch of good things. So there you go. We're learning a little bit about Irish history. And then in North County Place, right?
I was hoping you'd get there, okay.
Because you're a North County gal. So for the North County peeps, St. Patrick's Day cannot be considered complete without a visit to a pub. Escondido's O'Sullivan's Irish Pub. I don't know if you've been.
Nope. You went too far north. Just kidding.
Too far north. Dare we say perfection? So go for their famous Guinness Irish stew, which is a mix of tender chunks of beef, slow cooked with potatoes, carrots, celery, onions, and fresh herbs in a rich brown gravy. Sounds delish. I'm already hungry. Okay, so moving it to downtown again, we have Barley Mash. So this place we've been to a lot. This is the Gaslamp's casual feel-good bar and restaurant. Stay for dinner and try the Mash Barley Mac, which is a mix of cavatappi noodles, ale-braised pork shoulder, bourbon barbecue sauce topped with fresh jalapenos and crispy tobacco onions. And you can drink this with what they recommend, the Smooth Nightingale cocktail, orange, vanilla, lemon, and house foam, which comes together perfectly over the bite of whiskey. Sounds good to me. And then last but not least, Rosie O'Grady's. I don't know about my Irish accent, but sometimes even evenings call for a pick-me-up. Nobody knows this better than the Irish, which is why they've basically blessed us with their famous flavorful Irish coffees.
Wonderful.
So that's a big hit there. And this is in Normal Heights, which is a great spot, home to one of San Diego's best. So Rosie O'Grady's, if the name wasn't already enough of a giveaway, its self-proclaimed 5-star dive bar has been a classic Irish feel for St. Patrick's Day for years. So this is in Normal Heights. So there you go, you guys. And thank you to Locale Magazine. You can go to localemagazine.com for more of this information. And we'll have it on the website. And if you hit up one of these spots, tag us on social media so we know. And tell us what you think. Okay, you guys, so moving on, another thing that's exciting about March is it's Women's History Month. And we are going to be celebrating all of the powerful female owners and entrepreneurs that are out there, business owners and entrepreneurs, because we love them. So I have to shout out to Hershey's, you guys. Hershey's Bar, the Hershey's She Bar. Have you heard about this, you guys? So this year's limited edition Hershey's She Bar highlights the amazing qualities that she possesses, and it's just one of the ways they are putting she in the spotlight for Women's History Month and International Women's Day, which was this Wednesday. So the Hershey's Company proudly supports organizations that empower and honor women and girls, including Girls on the Run, which is an organization I love, and it's a nonprofit that helped create Hershey's She Bar packaging with 200 plus empowering adjectives on it. So I'm going to give you one too.
Awesome.
So these adjectives, if you see loving, joyful, empathetic, trustworthy.
And this is like one of my favorite colors. This is perfect.
See, we've got pink and blue.
This is great. This is great.
So shout out to that. And you guys, we are celebrating one of our own she powerful females today. Windus Fernandez-Brinkkord from Trilogy Financial, our financial expert. Thanks for coming back on the show.
As usual, thank you for having me.
Well, we love having you. So basically, Windus is a women-run and operated business, and she is dominating in a traditionally male-dominated field. So kudos to you, and this bar is for you. So we're honoring you today. So take that home, and it's for you.
Well, and to be fair, Trilogy is not women-owned and run. I happen to be one of their top producers, but
Yes.
I did want to say that just in case they watch this and they're like, come on. But I do run the best team in all of Trilogy here in San Diego.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. So it is traditionally a male-dominated field, but you've been in the industry since 2003, and you run a successful office and a team of financial planners.
Yes, absolutely.
So what is your favorite thing about your job?
Well, I love the diversity of our clients, and the favorite part about my job is really being able to understand what the client is trying to achieve. Why do they come to us? What do they need from a financial planning perspective, and getting to know all of the idiosyncrasies about their life and how they run their finances and what their goals are.
Okay.
When do you want to retire? Or when do you want to make work an option? Because not everyone likes that word retire. I get definitely a reaction from clients when we use that word. It's also part of the planning process to understand that too.
I love that. So we're going to dive into a great topic today. We're going to talk about financial planning for married couples and unmarried couples. I think this is huge. Israel and I, obviously we work with you. So we're kind of going through this right now, and it's definitely, it can be complicated. So I kind of wanted to bring these topics to the table and to our viewers and shed light on some of the things that are going on. So let's start with married couples. What are some of the main financial concerns that married couples have, and what are you seeing that you're talking with your couples about?
Whenever we have married couples come in, we always want to start to make sure that they're on the same page, or that they get to voice what their individual financial priorities are, because sometimes they feel like they can't voice them, and it's really good to give everyone some space to get that out there, and then we get to help them create a plan that represents all of their goals, not just where if one person doesn't feel heard. And the other aspect is really helping them make sure that their budget's in tune, where everyone knows what they're spending and they're comfortable with that.
Okay, I like that. So what about shared assets, right, and retirement? Because this is different if you're married or unmarried. But if you're married, you were telling us debt is collective and things like that, right?
Right. So I guess I kind of look at shared assets a little differently, because we've had married couples who come in and they have been married and married even for 40 years, and they don't even have shared bank accounts or shared finances, and they didn't plan for retirement necessarily together, yet they were able to retire together. So that's a part of the understanding process, is how you're running your finances as a married couple. Then on the flip side, we have couples who come to us who aren't married, who do run everything jointly too. But you're right. The legal document of marriage there are some rights and some aspects to that, like your debt is shared. When you're not married, your debt's not shared, typically.
So estate planning, right? So people would work with you as a couple if they're married, right? They would work with you for, as a team to kind of come up with what legacy that they want to leave behind.
Absolutely.
Right? So is there something that you could recommend? Is there proper strategies for that? Is it case by case?
It is case by case, which I hate saying because that feels so vague, but it's, if someone comes to us and they don't have children, it's also opening up the conversation. If you don't have kids, do you want all the money to go to a special niece or nephew, or is there a charity that we need to look at, or is it splitting it? And even when you are married, I often talk to couples about how much they want to leave to their children. This goes back to that Warren Buffett giving, where, you know, he said your kids should be able to support themselves and you shouldn't leave them billions of dollars. Wish that was the problem with most of my clients, but it's more like, you know, how much do you want to leave for your kids? And if you want to leave this much for your kids, what kind of planning do we need to do to make sure you're still taken care of?
Well, when would you start? Like, when's a good time to start this kind of planning? Is it sort of like right when you get married? How does that work?
I do think it's really good. If you can do a living trust. So this is we don't do trust as financial planners, but a triggering point for needing an estate plan, which we often refer to as a living trust in the state of California, is when you buy real property or have assets outside of property that total above $150,000. Okay. These are the two triggers as a financial planner that make me say, have you talked to an attorney about putting together a living trust? But what's cool about a trust is you can put it together when you don't have those two triggering points. And as a couple, you've now decided, as you accumulate wealth, who will receive your assets if something happens to you, so that, and also it has your power of attorney and healthcare directives, and makes sure that if you find yourself in the hospital, that it's what you want being done, not a committee of people deciding what happens.
Well, and I love that your website's great for information. You guys have a free ebook online for this as well, and people can put their information in and get this information. So I think that's amazing. Okay, so before we get into unmarried couples, short-term and long-term goals, right? For couples in general. How important is it? Is it to set
Oh
both,
man, I
right?
think it's super critical. But I also live and breathe money every day, and I this is the conversation that we spend pretty much all day long talking to clients about. So for me, it's very real to have an update with my husband about, you know, like for example, we were looking to do a remodel, got the price on the remodel, and now it's becoming a short-term goal, a couple years out, not a near-term goal. But I do think it's really good to make sure you know what you're both working towards and what you're working towards with your family, and even have the conversation with the kids so they're aware of what's going on.
Communication.
It really is important. Money drives a lot of anxiety and uncertainty, and when you're having the communication, you can help reduce it. I also find people have guilt over spending that they shouldn't have. They should have permission to spend and know what it's good, like what's within their budget.
Okay, no, that's really good. Okay, so unmarried couples, this is huge because many people are choosing to not get married, and it gets kind of sticky. And before we get into this, I just want to read a stat because you know I love my stats. So 50% of the U.S. adults are single. 126.9 million unmarried people, according to the Census Bureau. That's a lot.
But are those people who never got married, or some of them are just divorced, or it's just all single?
They're single. So
got it. However they've arrived,
they are themselves single
on the census. Got it.
But I was reading something, and I think it said like 30% was has never been married. So that's another interesting stat. We should dive into that. But
and the other 70% are licking their wounds from all the debt, all the divorce costs.
Well, it's crazy. You know, it's an interesting topic, and I think that what's interesting is the rules for married couples don't apply to the unmarried couples. A lot of the rules, right?
Right. I mean, yes. So
because I mean,
your assets don't pass the same.
Right.
So if something happens, like if you are each other's beneficiary on a retirement account, is the best example I can give, and you're not married, the Secure Act basically gave you 10 years to take all of the money out. When you're married, your spouse inherits that retirement account like it was their own, and they don't have to take it out. So there are some rules that can change the way you receive an asset or how fast you have to pay the taxes on that asset.
And do you know, like domestic partnerships, right? That's something that's kind of smart for some people because it can define expectations, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, so that's something to look into as well. And we talked about that. It can also set what would happen if the relationship ends. So not even if it's a death, but maybe you just break up.
Absolutely. But I have actually very little experience with domestic partnerships. Most of the times we're either getting people married, going through a divorce, or single, or living together. Not really. For some reason, I haven't seen a lot of domestic partnerships in the last 10 years.
Okay, interesting. Well, so for couples too, maintaining like a separate bank account, but also maybe a shared account, there's a lot of caveats, I think, having both, right? Do you have any advice on
I see a lot of couples they enjoy the idea of having a little bit of money that is their own. Okay, so that's like, I don't have to ask for permission. I don't have to feel guilty. This is my bucket of money. Maybe I want to buy you a gift you can't see. Like, it's kind
You
of
can't
nice
do
to
it out of
have
the joint account. They're
that
going to see
freedom,
it.
right?
Right.
But then this is a personal choice because I myself don't have a separate account for my husband, but I do know he has a separate account for me, and it doesn't bother me. It's fine. If I ever asked about the balance, he would tell me. It's not a big deal. But it's also because we have open communication on the topic.
Well, and is there anything that you have to worry about, like owning a property jointly means that you're jointly liable? I mean, is it, you have to kind of think about those types of things too, right?
Right, absolutely. The property ownership is a much bigger conversation. And often, so now I am not an attorney, just need to reiterate that, but I do know, just because you're not married doesn't mean that that person living there and contributing to the mortgage doesn't have some equity, right? It starts to get really complicated because I know California doesn't have common law marriage, but I also know that by paying the mortgage or part of the mortgage, you can have rights to that house too if you've lived together for 20 years, for example, even if you're not married.
Well, and I wanted to talk about this too, because like estate planning for people that aren't married, Israel and I are going through this. I mean, the two of us had a week where we were thinking, oh my gosh, what if something happens to us? It's been like one of those weeks. Israel pulled his back out. I was really sick. I had to go to urgent care. Anyway, so we were thinking, we really want to do something with our will and our trust and get everything in order. But it's a little bit more complicated because we were thinking, oh, we can do this joint, trust, but we can't as an unmarried couple.
Right. You have to have separate trusts that maybe point to each other but are separate.
Right. And so many people I know, that weren't married, either they lost their significant other, then things went into probate when it came to like property.
But I've even had married couples end up in probate because, for example, a spouse has an account where they didn't list a beneficiary on it and it was just in that spouse's name. Just because you're married doesn't mean that account automatically transfers. That could trigger a probate.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know that. So, okay, so like Israel and I were thinking, and we're going to talk to our accountants as well, but should we just get married? Is it easier to just get married to make this joint, partnership? And then raising children, it gets even more complicated too if you're not married, right?
Yes.
So, I mean, what's the first thing that we should do? Like, anyone out there, maybe if they are unmarried, like, is it talk to the financial planner first? Is it talk to an accountant?
It's so interesting because I do have couples that aren't married where I only work with one of them. I have couples that aren't married that come in and do everything jointly. It goes back to personal preference. I would say if you're not married and you're not having open conversations with your significant other about your future together, just make sure your financial house is in order. So step one is make sure you've taken care of you. And then when that opportunity arises where you can joint do that together, great. At least you did your part and you started.
I love that. And then like retirement plans and investments and things like that, or joint investments, it's really go to your financial planner, look at everything, get the advice.
Right. And if you jointly hold an asset, then that helps make sure that the other person is taken care of if something happens.
I love that. And then life insurance, we were talking about that long-term care. Those are other things that you would want to look at, but life insurance is not as easy to qualify for as you would think sometimes, right?
Well, it's easier when you're younger and you haven't checked a box of what medication you're on or do you have hypertension. So, yeah.
But basically when a client comes to you, you sort of have a checklist of things that you're going to go down with that client to go over with them to make sure that everything's in order. And what would you say like the best thing for couples to do if they want to reach out to you to work with you?
Well, to reach out to me to work with me, I'd find myself on the website, trilogyfinancialservices.com.
We have that up.
Perfect. There's a San Diego section where you can come visit me and my team, and you can reach out to us directly through there.
And then before we go today, is there like a final tip you can say maybe to just relieve stress for couples out there?
I do find that the number one way to relieve stress around money is to do a financial plan and know what it takes to succeed. And I think often people don't do the plan and they're just kind of shooting from the hip and they don't understand that actually gives them more anxiety than just planning.
I love that. Be prepared. Well, thank you so much. We love having you on the show. We always learn so much, and we'll be sharing our stuff that we're doing, Israel and I, and getting everything in order and how it worked for us. And if you guys have questions for Windus, hit us up. Let us know. We can put you in touch with her. She also does a consultation, which we love. And that's it. And we hope you guys have your St. Patrick's Day plans. We hope you go into your Friday with joy and gratitude. And we will see you next time when we put our finger on the pulse of San Diego. Bye, guys. Thanks, Windus.